Good morning, everybody. First thing you guys probably notice is there's no crack or no line through the screen. It's kind of funny because I flipped the phone over in the opposite direction. I can still see what's going on, but instead of having the camera on this side, I have the camera on the opposite side. So there's no like really weird line. Anyhow, excuse me. I have had not the worst, but I've had a coughing spell as of late, and it's kind of hampered my breathing capabilities, I guess. It's one of the many different things I have to deal with every season. Like I said before, this is probably one of the worst seasons I've had in a decade, maybe more. I don't know. It's been a while. But anyhow, I was just reading not only some comments from a couple of different people, but I was also reading some emails and some um, Facebook information from friends and family. Um, Texas, from what I understand, is going back to mandating the wearing of masks. Um, Vegas has had a resurgence or an elevated crisis because of basically the pandemic. Um, I said it once before, and not on here, but it was to somebody I was talking to once at work. I will not stop wearing a mask outside of my home at work until the CDC says otherwise, because too many people, and I don't mean just your average people. I'm talking about people in power are like, oh yeah, we can start. We're gonna go ahead and start reopening things, and we're gonna start. I mean, we're a big community and whatnot. We're just gonna go ahead and just reopen everything and decrease the necessity for the mask and things like that. And I'm just kind of like, you're Vegas, you're Houston, Texas, you're New York City, you're LA, you're Chicago. Are you people thick? This is how we continue to keep a pandemic going by just ignoring the officials and the people who know what's going on. And those people right now, as I'm concerned, is the CDC, because even parts of the government are just kind of like being dumb. It's one of those things where it's like if you're experts in sicknesses and diseases and stuff like that are saying no, leave those masks on, but you're standing there going, I haven't caught it yet. No, no, I'm gonna go ahead and take it off because I'm just that foolhardy. Granted, with the factor that they're increasing the screening processes and opening up testing facilities and whatnot, we're finding more and more cases. But the thing is, a lot of those cases probably would not have happened if we would have just been like, you know what, leave the mask situation. Go ahead and open. You know what? I'm not saying don't open your businesses and whatnot. I'm just saying don't throw precaution to the wind and not. So what if you look silly because you're one out of a dozen people who are wearing a mask? I'd rather be one out of a dozen wearing a mask than being one of those people admitted into the hospital because I've got COVID. No, no, no. I'm not putting that risk on myself. I'm not putting that risk on my family. I'd rather be the goofy looking guy with a mask on. I don't care. Um, I have seen one benefit from the mask though. Even though wearing the mask over like that much of my, well, I shouldn't say that much, but a good proportion of my face. The I guess the warmth coming from the mask and whatnot is promoted some of this to grow a little bit faster, which is kind of like, okay, I'll take it. Um, yes, it's a goofy looking bright side, but or a goofy sounding bright side, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take any bright side I can find right now because between the pandemic, the increased hurricanes, and just high winds, even if they don't become tornadoes or hurricanes, the high winds have been somewhat devastating in certain parts of the country. There's also I think there was a increase in fire safety protocols and whatnot for campgrounds and places up in the northwest, where they are prone to having fires between the high winds, the heat, and the electrical storms that they've been having. I'm surprised I haven't heard about more um, forest fires or anything like that as of late. But well, the season is kind of late. It's almost midsummer. Wait a minute, no. June 21st was the official beginning of summer. So yeah, we haven't even hit the height of summer. We've just barely entered it. But there's just a lot of things going on that is just kind of like we need more positive. Um, which actually have a positive note. This morning, this very morning, in my own front stoop, porch, whatever you want to call it, I went outside to take a snapshot of the baby birds, and well, I'm starting to get kind of concerned because of the fact that I'm only seeing like maybe one or two faces. I don't know if the other two babies are down below the bigger guys or what's going on, but I was out there getting ready to take a video, and I'm standing there, and I don't have my hand on the baker's rack. I have my hand just on my screen door while my arm is stretched out to take a picture because I don't want to get too close. And I'm maybe an arm's length away. I'm standing there, I'm getting ready to take a video, and here comes one of the parents, literally lands on the baker's rack. Kind of gives me kind of startles me, like, oh, I wasn't expecting you. But I didn't like jump and panic or anything like that. I've learned not to. But I guess he, um, was kind of like, oh wow, person, and flew back into the shrub nearby and started, making her noises and whatnot to try to get me to go away, which I did immediately. I mean, as soon as she flew off, I was like, oh, feeding time. Let's back up. Um, so I stood. I have a window that needs a major cleaning. It's dirty and dusty from the outside. But I kind of. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. I kind of like stood there. I have it's not really a blackout curtain because it's not that thick, but it's a nice thick material red curtain, and sunlight comes in and whatnot, but it doesn't it blocks the view to a certain point. So I had to like wait until I heard noises near or around the porch, and I gently opened it up a little bit, and I got a short video. It's kind of blurry. It's kind of because the window is really dirty. I haven't gone out in there and cleaned them in a year or two. Um, so they're kind of dusty from the outside. But my wife was able to adjust the. Sorry, I've got an itch behind my ear, and it's really like. My wife was able to adjust the brightness basically, so you can barely make out the factor that this parental wren um, is going up and feeding the babies. And I noticed before when I was getting ready to when she kind of flew over to my shrubs, she had a moth in her mouth, and I'm like, wow, that's going to be a big morsel for a bird, for a baby. But you got to realize these little guys can eat 10 times their weight in insect. You know, so anytime I have a bird that eats insects like that, I'm not going to try to deter it from nesting. But I'm happy that when the our pests our exterminator, our pest guy came by, that the fumes from the outside chemicals didn't do any harm to those babies. At least I don't think they did. I didn't notice any irreversible problems. But I was happy to see that happen. I mean, I was combination of privileged to see. I've been privileged to see these little guys um, grow, basically. Um, if my information on the wrens are correct, probably about I'd say a little bit before, a little bit after, right around Jerry's birthday, these guys will no longer be fledglings. They'll be fledglings, I should say, and they'll start to learn how to fly. And maybe shortly after that, they'll be leaving the area, which I'll be sad that they leave. But hey, it's like watching your kids grow up. It's like, yay, finally they're off to live their own life type thing. I don't know. One of the other things that has come up in conversation between me and Jerry is my YouTube channel. Now, she's happy that it's growing. She's great that I'm getting up there. But she had made some comments or some suggestions. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Suggestions on how to increase my channel. And I agree with her, but it's kind of like not many of my viewers want to watch or learn about creating a Dungeons and Dragons or role playing game character. Or yeah, I might get some young people in here who might get interested in that and interested in my video games and the ones that I play. But the one suggestion that she made that I'm kind of thinking about, because the factor, not only will it promote me to, not promote me, push me, get me, it will basically, it will be a benefit to me that if I were to sit back and either talk about books I read or the latest chapter in whatever book I'm reading. Um, I know a few people talked to when I mentioned it way back when, the Mary Summer Rain books I've been reading. Um, somebody had asked about them, and I gave them a little bit of information, but I didn't give them. I gave them some information and a little bit of my perspective or my feelings towards those books. And it's kind of like, do I do something along that lines? I know a lot of people were interested in my Cook With Me, the videos I've done with Cook With Me's. Problem is with the way things have been lately, I have not been able to do a cooking video, mostly because it's either we've been eating quick meals that I, anybody could do, because it's just like a box, some meat, and a couple sides. No thrills, no chills. Um, Now, Jerry and I have talked about that. See, we had originally planned that by this time this year, because the way things were going at first with her channel, before the whole changeover by YouTube because of one thing or another. Sorry, I thought something was wrong with my phone. Um, I would have been able to, stop working outside the home. We would have an RV. We'd be doing a lot more. We'd be going out and about and visiting friends and family throughout the country, and then even places that either we want to go or she hasn't seen but I have, or things like that, because I've been out and about more than she has. That didn't happen. So me working on my channel has been like, I can do the vlog, and then that's it. That's all I can do is my vlog. Maybe once every so often I do a cook with me video. Well, that's been slow go too. And I'm not saying that's because of the fact that I don't have the time. It's more like I don't have enough time to do what I want to do and then help around the house. So it's one of those things like right now, we're trying to fix up the house for a party. After the birthday party, Ann's going to go on a short trip. She said she was going to go to Texas and she might go over to Florida, and then she might go up to the Carolinas to visit a friend. I don't know what all she's going to do. I just know that she's going to be gone for a week, two, three at the most. Um, I'm not like not really looking forward to it, but I am kind of looking forward to it because I'm not looking forward to it because a lot of times when Jerry's not around, I either get myself in trouble or do something that I should have waited for her to be around to do, because it's like she goes the last time she went on a vacation. Let's just put it this way: last time she went on a vacation, I did some purging of my own. I got rid of some of my t-shirts that I haven't worn in a year. Don't think I was gonna wear it again. Didn't feel like I needed it anymore. Things like that. Then of course I did some cleaning and rearranging and straightening up around the house. Now the straightening and cleaning she didn't mind. In fact, she was quite pleased and whatnot. And she's asked me on a couple different occasions, why don't you do this more often? And I'm like, because when I go to do it and you're around, you want me to do it your way. I have my own way. So it's one of those kind of things, like I do what I want to do when she's not around, and 9 times out of 10, except for throwing stuff out that she questions why I did it, there's no problems. Then she comes home, and not that I slack off on the fact that I don't want to do it, but it's more like I slack off because the fact that when I go to do it, it becomes something else, or it becomes a headache. And I'm kind of like, nah, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the fact of the different methods, or the fact that I'm one of these type of people that was raised in a you want it done your way, do it yourself type situation. Which, after 20 years, I'm still trying to learn how to do it somebody else's way. It's interesting. I just thought about that. We've been married for almost 20 years, and for the first 38, 39, well, no, because even when I was a kid, I was doing some, well, when I was a kid, mom and dad let me do it on my own unless it was something that they were afraid that I would either get hurt by or break something. So as a kid, I was only allowed to clean my own room, and a lot of times that didn't happen. Mom and dad had to either say clean it up or lose it. And I'd say about 50-50 losing it. 50% of the time I lose it. I learned through that. Um, then for the almost 15, no, 16, 15, 16 years, I was doing it my way. Cleaning up the house, cleaning up my stuff, keeping everything around me clean for 16 years. From the 8, well, yeah, because I had to be more than 16. Sorry, I'm trying to do math in my head and it's not working. Um, so I got married in 2000. Dad passed away in 86. 86, 87. So, yeah, about 16 years. But I always grew up in an environment where if you wanted it done the way you thought was right, you do it yourself. If you do it somebody else's way, it's either in your head it's going to be wrong, or you're going to be uncomfortable, or you know things like that. Now, I don't know. It's a combination of I get scatterbrained and I have just so much that I could talk about or want to talk about that it becomes slightly difficult. Um, it's like my camera is creating like a ghost effect. Okay, that's fine. Um, I mean, y'all know what I do. Y'all know what I like. I mean, if there's a, excuse me, if there's a particular subject or something I've talked about in one of my past videos that you want to know more about or you want to hear more about, go ahead and let me know in the comments section, because it's not that I'm not open. It's just the fact that sometimes if I don't have a focus or something to focus on, um, I just talk whatever's in my brain out, and you guys get to watch that craziness. For those of you who had a problem with my last video, because right down the middle of the screen was a crack because of the way the way the crack in the camera is, I'm sorry. Today's video looks like I have some sort of like weird ghost effect or shadowy effect or something like that going on. I'm going to apologize for that. I will let you know though, because of this whole phone cracking beyond just the protective lens, or the protective shielding we put on there, I have ordered, in fact, got notification last night that I will have my new phone within 7 to 9 business days. So hopefully by the end of the week, yeah, hopefully by the is the 27th. So yeah, so hopefully sometime next week or within a week and a half, I will have a brand new phone that, one, I will get to learn about, and two, hopefully will have better qualities, because it's an iPhone 11. It's not the Pro. Like Giant has a Pro, which means it has on the backside or the opposite side of the screen, it has three separate cameras. The iPhone 11, just the regular iPhone 11, only has two lenses, two cameras. I don't know how to describe it, but I will have a new phone, so hopefully I'll have better quality videos and no cracks, no issues. I'm gonna try to wrap this up. You know me. Try is not a word I use. Um, so I'm going to read today's little tidbit from my inspirational perpetual calendar, I guess you call it. It says here, at some point we all stand at this intersection. Is God good when the outcome is not? During the famine as well as the feast, the de- the definite answer comes in the person of Jesus Christ. Other than my brain not having that is slightly, well, no, it's not really all that confusing because it has a good question there. Is God good at all times? Yes. Are we always happy with the outcome of what's going on? No. Does not mean that God is not good. It just means we're unhappy with our situation. And that's a personal issue, not a, well, I don't even know if I should say a spiritual issue because I know plenty of people who go through not just life in general, but go through a lot of different things that make you question your psychological or mental status, your spiritual status. You know, the physical body can go through changes throughout our life. I mean, look at one of the weirdest yet most intriguing riddles I've ever heard. I don't know if you've heard of the riddle of the Sphinx. The riddle of the Sphinx is an ancient riddle, and the answer is quite simple when you think about it. What starts out on 4, in the middle is on 2, and at the end is on 3? Man. We start out crawling around on 4, on all fours. We learn how to walk. We get old. We need a cane for support. That's 3. There you go. There's your answer for the riddle of the Sphinx. We go through the changes of growing up. Now, granted, a lot of the changes we go through are not exactly fun or comfortable. I mean, I don't remember my days on 4, but I know I had issues just walking on 2 feet. Not issues like us stumbling over my own feet, but I mean, I've injured myself. I've gone through sickness. I've gone through health. I've gone through aches and pains in one form or another. Um, I don't know about girls, but I know as a guy, the physical changes of puberty were not exactly always fun. Um, Here I am in my 40s, and I've got herniated lower lumbar disc. I've got a bad knee. I've got a bad ankle. My upper body hurts from time to time. The aches and pains of just getting old. Now, there's very few people I know who got, well, who lived an extremely long life. I mean, my one aunt that was almost 100 years old before she passed away, I wasn't that close to her, but the times that we were around her, she was, full of energy, full of life, and very, gung ho. I had another aunt who spent her latter half of her life, um, tw- uh, 10, 20 years or so of her latter half of that, yeah, 10 to 20 years in a um, nursing home, and towards the very end, when the Alzheimer's was getting really bad and she couldn't remember who was who. She reverted back to her childhood back in Germany, speaking German. Everything was wunderbar, which is wonderful in German. Um, so, I mean, I've seen the downside of what old age can bring as well as the upside of what old age can bring. Um, I don't know which way I would want to go. I think the idea of basically being stuck in your own head back in your childhood thinking everything was wonderful would be like, I would think it would be okay. I think it would be great because you might not know who's around you or what's what around you, but at least you're hopefully in a happy place in your brain before you let go of life. I don't know. Being I'm an only child, and if I outlive my wife, I don't know what's going to happen with me. Kind of sounds sucky, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know. Heck, I might end up having, I might end up living closer to family that understandably knows the situation and tries their best to care for me. Otherwise, I might end up in a care facility that runs off of government funds. I don't know. You know, heck, for as I know, I might be in my 70s when a cataclysmic catastrophe happens on the planet, and I might be one of the few people that don't make it. I don't know. I don't want to sound morbid or anything like that. It's just we don't know what the future holds for us. We can only hope that our future is, you know, uh, that our future turns out for the better. Um, it's one of those things where it's like you. What's the old saying that I think my father-in-law had? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst type situation. Things. It's all in God's hands. That's all I can tell you. Oh man, did not expect my sinuses and allergies to start kicking up on me. Excuse me. I mean, excuse me. I'm no doom seeker or anything like that, but I have read. I should say I have attempted to read and understand Nostradamus. I've read Edgar Casey. I've heard the different. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to describe them, but there are. I don't know if you'd call them prophecies or how you determine what they are, but I mean, Native Americans, the Incas, the Mayas, the Hopi, the Navajo, they all have paintings or cliff drawings or however you want to put them in their holy places, sacred places, whatever you want to call them, that show. And they've determined they haven't really figured out the timeline, but they figured out that it shows a I guess the only way to say it an end time like Graph or something like that. I can't remember what they called it, but it was on a couple different shows. God, I can't remember, but they talked about Mary Summer Rain in it, and I just don't remember the name of the show. Darn it. But then you've got to look at the Bible. The Bible, the Quran, even there's a third book that I looked at and I can't remember the name of it. Darn it. But it was by a different. It wasn't by. It was by. It was the Bible, the Quran, and some other text, and I can't remember if it was a text on Taoism or Buddhism. They all talked about an end time, and there are a lot of people who believe that we are in the end time scenario. The outcome is unknown. Let's just put it that way. There are some who believe that the end after the trials and tribulations and all the things that we're supposed to go through, at the end, it's supposed to be a heaven on earth paradise type thing. Um, I don't know how to describe it because there's so many different descriptions. Some think it's going to be Garden of Eden on earth. Some believe it's going to be the I don't know how to describe it, but there's a lot of different ways of describing it. All of it is harmonious, picturistic. There's even a couple of groups out there who like me have read all this information, but they think it's going to be Star Trek-ish, and I'm like, no, because I think one of our biggest downfalls is technology. Not that I don't trust it, it's just the fact that I think we've tried to advance it too fast, too quickly. The problem with humanity, and I boil it all down to humanity, because, like everything, there's a good and bad to everything. Um, for example, my interest in my playing of Dungeons and Dragons. Back in the 70s and 80s when it first came out, there were so many different people who were like, "Oh, that's all bad. That's the devil's work. That's evil." No, not exactly, because it's a book. It's got information on how to play a game. Now, yeah, some of the characters or some of the races or whatever or things in the book might make you go, "Yeah, that's a little evil." No, it's how you play it. It's your mentality of the game. And I agree with a lot of people. A lot of people way back when, um, during ancient times, would see a snake and think, oh, gotta kill it. It's the devil. No, no. There is nothing evil in nature. Everything in nature has a purpose and a reason for being there. Unfortunately, it's humanity that makes it good or evil. It's the mentality of the person or persons that makes something evil. I can pick up, just for instance, I hate doing this, but the Bible. The Bible is filled with all kinds of good information. It also tells you about the evil things out there and that kind of stuff. Back during back during the Crusades, or even before, maybe during the Crusades, in Europe alone, they had what they called the Spanish Inquisition. Now, anybody who knows history knows the Spanish Inquisition was a group, and I'm not going to say the Catholic Church because it wasn't just the Catholic Church, but there was a large group of religious people who basically wanted to literally stamp out and crush and destroy anyone or anything that did not follow the Bible to the letter of the law. That right there is taking a good thing, the Bible, and turning it into a bad thing, the Spanish Inquisition. The Crusades were the same way, okay? And the Crusades weren't just in the Middle East. There was a crusade in Europe. And basically what it was, again, a large group of religious people. And I'm going to say it this time, it was mostly Catholic. There were Protestant, there were Presbyterians in there too. But the church, I'm not even going to say what religion now, I'm just going to say the church, basically decided that if you were not following the Bible and the teachings of the Bible, you were a pagan, you were a barbarian, you were just needed to be either stamped out or converted. And for the most part, most people converted. There were groups that were like, no, we're not, until you can prove that your one true God was better than our gods. We're not going to follow you. Now, wow, it's noon already. Dang. Um, Now, for the most part, when you got up into the North region of Europe, most of those people would have rather died, and most of them did die. They fought in combat and died, which to them was like, hey, you're gonna kill me in combat? That's fine. I'll go straight to Valhalla. There was one last king of the Norse Empire who said, "No, I don't want any more bloodshed. I don't want any more of my people dying over a religious belief system." And he was converted to Christianity, and the rest of his people followed. A lot of nations did that. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. The fact that he converted, that's up to an individual. But the thing is, the church was using their belief system to stamp out all other belief systems. The funny thing is, though, every group has a standout. Every group has a fine, you can convert the rest of the land, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And they survived they survived. Of course, nowadays we're seeing a resurgence of these different groups coming back to life and whatnot. But unlike the church, they're not trying to push it. They're just like, hey, your choice. Because that's basically, even the Bible says we have the choice. We have the choice to choose. Now, it also says that if you don't choose Christ, you know, you're damned. Not, not that, good or bad. That's an individual choice. But the point is, somebody decided to take something good and pure, like the Bible, and use it in a way that just, I personally do not think that Christ or God were pleased by the factor that they were forcing the decision. I'm pretty sure that free will is part of biblical education, and it's the choice. It is an individual's choice. But the point is, you can take anything good. You can take anything good and turn it into something evil or something bad. Not exactly evil, but you can use something good for bad purposes. I mean, it even says it in the Bible. The devil can quote scripture when it suits him best. Um, and I don't try to rats. I don't try to force anything on anybody. I don't try to use scripture for my platform, I talk the way I feel. And I feel the Bible is one of the most important books on the face of the planet. If all books, literally, if all books were to be removed from the face of the planet, the one book I would fight to keep would be the Bible. Because the teachings in there aren't just for Christian life, it's for life in general. The Old Testament is the building blocks of the New Testament. The Old Testament to me is a cornerstone. It is what helps keep the building upright. But in truth, the Old Testament is, as Jesus himself said, old law, old stuff. The teachings, the the teachings of Christ should be the cornerstone because the factor he didn't talk about just coming to God. He didn't talk about just, oh, this is what you should be doing. This is the law or the new law, however you want to put it. He talked about dealing with everyday situations, anxiety, marriage, children, health. It wasn't all about, oh, you know, you've got to be following my father. This is the way it should be. No, I can compare the teachings of Christ to nobody else because of the factor he talks about not just your physical health, but he talks about mental health. He talks about spiritual health. I mean, the words of Jesus were life, not the factor that we should live. Uh, my words just lost. It's not that we should live to be healthy people. It's the factor that with the Word of God and with Jesus in your heart, your health can get better. But to help you along, let me tell you about how to make your existence better. I mean, people get angry at me because I drink. I'm not a drunkard. I don't drink constantly. The Bible itself states have a glass of wine with your meal because if you have stomach issues, if you have constitution issues, I think that's the word he used. A glass of wine will help soothe those issues. Okay? Um Now, I'm all for mixing information because I said it before. There's a grand mural on the walls of heaven. And this is how I mentally picture things, okay? That in heaven there's a grand mural. It is a mural beyond murals. It is the largest mural you can possibly ever imagine. And in that mural has pieces. Each piece comes from either an individual person or a positive, holy, not, I guess you can say holy, a positive piece of the puzzle needs to go into that mural. And every individual person, every individual soul that ever roamed the planet has a piece of that puzzle. And when they're done with their life, that piece goes onto that mural. And it makes the bigger picture come vibrantly alive. And I believe that every person who does good has a piece that goes in there. Now, for instance, I drink herbal teas in the morning time, or anytime I feel I need. I have a tea for my throat. Unfortunately, it makes me sleepy because it's supposed to be for nighttime so you can sleep better. I've got one for stomach issues. Guess what? That information didn't come out of the Bible. That information came from a Native American. or a Middle Eastern or a Asian person because they studied natural herbal medicine. It's natural. It comes from nature. So guess what? It's positive. It's good. Granted, there are things in nature that can be harmful. That's why they advise you not to eat. Don't eat apple seeds. Don't swallow apple seeds. Don't eat certain plants. Don't eat certain roots. Don't eat certain things. Okay. Now, this whole thing from the Middle East about don't eat pork. Well, there's a biblical reason why. Because Jesus let the demons go into a herd of pigs, and that herd of pigs basically went and drowned themselves. Um, that's the biblical reason. There is certain things about pork that's not exactly good for you, um, but at the same time, it's not exactly dangerous. But there are other Middle Eastern groups that don't want nothing to do with pork. Um, so there's all different things. But anyhow, I gotta end this because it's already almost an hour long. But there is good and evil in everything. It is up to the individual person or persons to draw out the good and use the item or items or materials or whatever for a positive purpose. We on a daily basis, because we as human beings are flawed, and I do mean we all are flawed. There is no individual person on the face of the planet. I'm not worried about any person besides myself. No, I'll take that back because that's wrong. I do worry about everybody and everything. But there is no truly perfect person. We all have our flaws. It is up to us to use everything that about ourselves, our flaws, for the greater good. Now, unfortunately, some people fall towards the dark side more than most. We've all heard their names throughout history. There is a Facebook quote from Hitler's Mein Kampf. Hitler is one of those people that I use as a pivoting point because Hitler, according to all the records and whatnot, before a certain point in his life, was actually a fairly good person. It was upon his mother's death at the hands of a Jewish doctor that changed his course. Now, I can understand that because when my father passed away, my course could have gone dark. It could have gone into a permanent depth of darkness that Hitler must have fallen into. But here's the thing. The difference between what happened with me and what happened to Hitler, I know that for the most part, most of what happened to my father was my father's fault. Okay? Hitler, this is the thing. If you look at history, if you look at the times of when Hitler's mother passed away, a Jewish doctor will not, during that period of time in that part of the world, a Jewish doctor would not take care of or do health practices on a non-Jewish person. So that means Hitler was Jewish. So that's right there. It kind of makes you go, whoa, wait a minute. Adolf Hitler was born and raised a Jew. Not putting them down. I know plenty of Jewish people. They're not that bad. They might be a little strange in their religious practices if you don't understand them, but they're fairly good people. Now, up until a certain point, the Jewish community was a very tight knit, well, they're still a tight knit community, but up until after World War II, when most of the Jewish community moved to the States, and basically most of them congregated in the Northeast, especially New York area, um, they did not work with other people outside of their community. That's how tight knit they were. They're not tight knit anymore. But the thing is, Hitler could have been like, "Oh, mom passed away from something that the doctor could not take care of because she died of something that medical science had not basically been caught up to cure." Um, but no, Hitler decided to blame it all on the Jewish doctor and basically committed genocide and decided to basically say, "Look, if you're not of a certain color, creed, if you don't follow me, if you're not part of my perfect society, perfect world, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to just try to wipe you off the face of the planet." And that's basically what he did. You know, but I'm like, if he would have been like, "Oh well, mom passed away, doctor couldn't do nothing, nothing I can do about it, even though I'm in the military and I could go ballistic." He could have been like, "You know what? I'm going to mourn and I'm going to go back to my regiment, my commanding officer, whomever, and be a good soldier." I mean, there's all these what ifs throughout history. What if Pompeii didn't blow up? Or not Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius. What if the search for Atlantis is not needed because, in fact, we know exactly where it is because the natural disaster that destroyed Atlantis, according to, they're still searching, but they're finding evidence of what could have caused it, where it could have been. What if the natural disasters that basically took out most of the Mediterranean during the ancient world never happened? And if Atlantis was so advanced for its time during during those ancient times, where would the world be now? How would we be living in a Star Trek society, or would we be living in a barbaric land of weirdness? What ifs? But anyhow, I've gone on way too long. I'm sorry. Um, my mind took over and just forgot about time, which happens. Anywho, I'm gonna apologize for jumping all over the place if that's exactly what I did, which I think is exactly what I did. I bounced all over the place. Um, I apologize for that. For those of you who like this vlog, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or like I asked earlier, if you have ideas of things that you might want to hear that I've talked about, and you want me to focus on that, I'd be glad to hear that. Um, and hopefully I can get myself to focus on it because sometimes if it's a subject I want to focus on, I'll focus on it. If it's a subject that I'm not interested in, yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyhow, go ahead and put that in the comment box. If you're a new subscriber and you want to hear more, you can hit the subscription button and then the bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put in a new video. So until next time, have a good day. God bless. Bye.